Welcome back to After Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levi, your co-host, Shaq. We're going to be talking Bellator 180 and Bellator NYC. Chael Sonnen versus Wanderlei Silva. It's finally happening. It happened once on the set of Tough Brazil when they got into a little street fight, and now they get to settle it inside the Bellator cage at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time coming, man, and that was a nice blast double Chael had in the on the Tough show.
It really was, man. You think he's gonna recreate history here?
You know, it's a very good chance, but is he gonna fall into that sub again?
Yeah, the thing is, when was the last time Wanderlei got a sub? I know he had. Didn't he have a very tight guillotine on Rich Franklin, but couldn't quite finish it? Was it Rich Franklin that he went for? He had that one fight when he went for that guillotine. He was hanging on to it. You know, this time when he takes down Wanderlei, there's not going to be someone soccer kicking Chael in the head.
Yeah. That's shout out to my boy Andre Dita for protecting his boy. But I'm excited for the fight.
I am as well, man. I'll tell you what. I'm actually going to shell out the $60 to buy the Bellator pay-per-view. I mean, look, if you give me a fight like Douglas Lima versus Lorenz Larkin, I'm going to pay for that fight.
I mean, Douglas Lima is one of the best in the business. Lorenz Larkin was a consensus top 10 welterweight in the world. So, you know, in my opinion, we're going to have two top 15 welterweights in the world going at it. And we're going to see how Lorenz reacts to that Bellator debut.
Now, let's get down to business, man, because, look, we got James Gallagher. He's minus 210. The comeback on Chinzo Machida is plus 175. Now, James Gallagher, you know, trains out of SBG, and all these kids, they think they're Conor McGregor, and Chinzo Machida is the brother of Lyoto Machida, so it's a very interesting matchup. You know, you got the karate guy versus, you know, the new school, I guess you could say, karate guy. And the question is James Gallagher as good as he's hyped to be? You know, he's gone out there and beat the guys he's supposed to beat, which is, hey, that's one thing in itself. But now, even though Chinzo Machida, you know, he's not like his brother or anything like that, don't get it twisted, he's still been training martial arts his entire life, and he can still capitalize on an opening and knock someone out cold.
Yeah, man. I mean, Chinzo's flow on the feet, I mean, is beautiful. I mean, you know, he's just like you said with his brother, the nice karate flow. And, you know, to be honest, I'm not impressed with Gallagher at all. You know, I feel like if Chinzo can stuff the takedowns, I honestly think he's going to handle Gallagher on the feet. But you know how these Bellator things work, man. It's just, you know, I like to play the more real fights like Douglas and Lorenz, you know, things like that. But, you know, I think Chinzo's worth a look. But, you know, I'd wait till closer to fight day just to get a better feel for it, see what's going on behind the scenes and, you know, the fight week festivities. But, you know, I'm going to go with Chinzo by KO.
You know, man, I feel you, and I want to go with Chinzo, but I'm going to go with the hype prospect Gallagher. I feel like they're bringing him in. They're trying to, you know, get a name on his resume, even though it's not Lyoto Machida. Just the fact that it says Machida is a big deal. You know how this shit works in Bellator, man. And even though, we're going to look to fit James Gallagher very soon. What weight class is he, by the way?
45.
Oh, imagine Manny Sanchez versus Gallagher. You know, I'd be licking my chops. So it's one of those things, man. You know, I'm looking. That seed's been planted, and I think he gets this win. But you know, we're gonna keep our eyes on him for sure. Next up, the rematch no one wanted to see. We got Phil Davis. He's minus 120. The comeback on Ryan Bader is plus 100. Now, the first time they fought, I believe Ryan Bader was a plus 220 dog. Now he's a plus 100 dog. You think he's gonna do it for the second time?
Man, it's going to be I feel like the fight's going to go exactly like how the first one did, man. I feel like it's going to be close, boring, you know, to both dudes grinding on each other. But, you know, I think Bader's going to edge it out again. I feel like he's made the more improvements in his game since the last time they fought. And, you know, just overall in his career, you know, Phil still never really figured out the stand-up part of his game. He's gotten better at it, but it's still rudimentary. It's still basic. He still does the same things as where Bader can at least knock you the fuck out, you know what I'm saying? And I think Bader's going to land the more powerful shots in this one. Phil is the better wrestler. They actually wrestled 2 times in college, and Phil won both times. But, you know, this isn't wrestling. But, you know, I think Bader's going to edge it out by another split decision.
You know, man, it's interesting because I don't often pick Phil Davis, but I think this is one of those spots where I'm going to, man. You know, I feel like he's going to slightly edge it. You know, people are going to think it could have gone either way. You know, I think he's going to, you know, stare at him for a minute, then throw one big leg kick, mixing a takedown, then Bader pops back up, but Davis scored those points. You know, that kind of thing. They clinch, they stare at each other. You know, it's going to be like the same fight as the first, but this time it's for 5 rounds in the Bellator cage. I feel for that reason, Phil Davis will have, you know, the Bellator seasoning. Because, you know, with these guys that come into Bellator for the very first time, it tends to not go well, man, with a lot of these guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at Benson Henderson. He's been getting smoked in Bellator. Look at a guy like Matt Mitrione. He goes in there and gets knocked out by the first jobber that he fought. We'll talk about that when we get to his fight, but in this spot, man, I think that Phil Davis is actually going to go out there and retain his title.
Yeah, man. I'm interested to see how Bader does, man. He took a big, you know, jump coming over, and let's see if he finally captures a belt for once.
You know, yeah, for real, right? Now, next up, Michael Chandler. He's minus 750. The comeback on Brent Primus is plus 525. Now, you've been telling me about this Primus kid for a while, and you think he's finally going to get that gold?
I mean, look, Primus is a tough guy. You know, I like to call him a workman fighter. You know, he has to take a punch to get going. But when he gets going, man, I mean, he's pretty solid. I mean, that Derek Anderson fight, I mean, he beat Anderson up. He got the better of the positioning. But we know the deal with Chandler, man. He's hell on wheels for a good round and a half. And, I mean, and he's throwing serious heat. But, you know, after that, man, he completely gasses out. Then, you know, he's relying on that big lead he has in the first. And then, you know, that's what's caused him to drop a couple of decisions to Will Brooks and, you know, Eddie Alvarez. And, you know, that's just the gist of his game. I mean, that's what he is. He's a 1 round and a half fighter. And then after that, he's just, you know, relying on that D1 wrestling. But, you know, Primus is a tough guy. But, man, to win this, he's going to have to survive a serious storm for about a good 10 minutes and not get knocked out. But Chandler should take this. But if the line was like plus 700, plus 800, plus 1,000, like Baby Joe vs. Caldwell, then I'd, you know, consider it. But not right now.
No, I feel you, and I think that Primus is a very respectable fighter. Trains out of a great camp. Team Oyama. He's getting better every single time we see him fight. He's one of these tough, you know, like you said, workmen-like fighters, man. He goes out there, he takes his licks, he gives his licks, and, you know, if you start to tire on a guy like Brent Primus, he's going to put it on you. He's got that Brian Barberena thing going. So it comes down to, we know with Michael Chandler, those first 2 rounds, you know, he's like the best pound-for-pound fighter on the planet, man. You know, he blows people out the water in that first round, but after that, he historically tends to gas. And if he does that in this fight, that is where Brent Primus could take over. So it's just a matter of, you know, what's going to happen here. I do think that in certain situations, Chandler is really going to prevail, such as when Chandler gets that top position. You know, I saw Derek Anderson, you know, landing some heavy elbows on Brent Primus in that top position. I think that Michael Chandler, he's so small, he's so short, he's so compact that he can go out there and cause some damage to Brent Primus, man. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go with the minus 725 favorite, the champion here, man. So, but, you know, or minus 750, rather. But, you know, I really like this kid, Brent Primus. I think he's got a bright future, man.
Yeah, he's a tough kid. And, you know, even if he loses this, man, he'll be back.
You ready for this? Matt Mitrione's minus 125. The comeback on Fedor, the Last Emperor, is plus 105.
Yeah, you know, I think Mitrione's a nice guy, but I mean, let's be honest here. He's a 500 fighter, and he's never improved. I mean, it's the same old thing, you know, sprawl and brawl. And, you know, he used to rely on that speed, but, man, I feel like that speed has gone. It's gone now. I mean, he's still agile, don't get me wrong, but, you know, when he's getting knocked out by Carl, whatever his last name is.
Sumanu
and, you know, and guys, let's be honest here. The fight was fixed. And, you know, my thing with these Bellator fights is these type of fights sketch me out betting-wise because, you know, let's be honest here, Bellator is about ratings. They want ratings, and it almost feels like to me like they have a script. And, you know, Fedor's the star. Fedor's the one that's bringing in the viewers. So to me personally, I think that they want Fedor to win. And, I'm not saying the fight's fixed, but it might be fixed, But as far as from a fight standpoint...
I'm going to be in trouble now.
It's from a fight standpoint, but, I just think Mitrione will just find a way to lose, man. He'll shoot for a takedown, an unnecessary takedown, or get knocked out. But Fedor's my pick here, and... it might even be worth a small shot, man. Mitrione has a tendency to find ways to lose. He breaks easily. And, one thing about Fedor, man, even though, he's past his prime, he won't quit, man. I mean, you remember that Fabio Maldonado fight? Even though it was the ref, helped him out a little bit. I mean, he was knocked down. He still didn't quit, So I'm going to go with Fedor.
You know what, man? I'm going to go with Fedor as well. And, I know a lot of people are very confident on Matt Mitrione. They think he's just going to go out there and blow him out the water. But, look, even in Matt Mitrione's prime, he lost to everyone good that he fought. The Czech Congo fight, that was very ugly. The Big Country fight. And I just feel like, I know he beat Derek Lewis. But, when you run into a heavyweight forearm, you're going to get knocked out. It is what it is. But in this spot, man, look. Mitrione made his Bellator debut. He goes out there. He gets knocked out by Carl Sumanu Tafa. But, the ref was wearing an earpiece. He let him survive, and Mitrione came back and won the fight. That's all I got to say about that. And then he fought Ollie Thompson, the world's strongest man. Congrats, man. Pat on the back. I feel like, even though, we know Fedor's, completely done, I feel like he can make, one last explosion, go in there, feint, throw that big overhand right, catch him, and knock out Matt Mitrione. I'm not going to be betting on this one, but I do have the last emperor, Fedor Emelianenko. Now, I got almost, I'm thinking about a bet on this fight. We got Lorenz Larkin. He's minus 185. The comeback on Douglas Lima is plus 160. We gonna keep our belt here in Atlanta?
Yeah, man. I feel like Douglas is gonna get the fight he wants. He's not gonna have to worry about stuffing takedowns or, getting grinded against the fence. Not saying Lorenz can't do that, because Lorenz took down George Masvidal, and we know how hard it is, to take down George Masvidal. So, Lorenz wrestling has definitely improved over the years from the Brad Tavares fight and the Derek Brunson fight. So it's gotten a lot better, man. But I feel like this type of fight is going to bring the best out in Douglas. He's going to get to go toe-to-toe, trade punches and kicks. And, me personally, I feel like Douglas Lima has harder leg kicks than Lorenz Larkin. I feel like he has some of the best kicks in the business. We saw what happened with Andre anytime Douglas landed that low kick. Andre stopped in his tracks, limped a couple steps, and took him down or looked to just recover, man. It's that serious. And I feel like, like we said, that Bellator debut. And I've seen Lorenz break before, man. I've seen him go out there and get knocked out by Costas Philippou, or get clinicked on by Brad Tavares back in the day. Granted, those were a long time ago. Even that third round against Masvidal, he broke. You know what I'm saying? So the longer this fight goes, man, I feel like it actually favors Douglas. And I feel like Douglas is at home. This is the Bellator cage. This is his division, his company, and I feel like he's gonna put on a show and open some eyes here.
I'm with you 100%, man, here. It's not even a hometown thing, man. I feel like Douglas can go out there, use the Brad Tavares game plan. Everyone needs to go back and watch Lorenz Larkin versus Brad Tavares, because people think that, it's just like, Larkin wasn't the same at middleweight. Larkin was fucking up dudes at heavyweight. I feel like people forget that. You remember the Jean Vellante fight, bro?
Yeah, Scott Lighty.
Dude, he killed dudes at heavyweight, and, he still had speed at middleweight. It's just that welterweight was his optimal weight class, man. But go back and watch that Brad Tavares fight. That's the exact game plan that Douglas Lima needs to use here. He needs to pick his shots. If it's time to jab to the body, it's time to jab to the body. If it's time to throw a big leg kick, it's time to throw a big leg kick. I know that Lorenz throws leg kicks too, but it's more, I don't want to say it's point leg kicks, but it's different than what Douglas throws. When Douglas throws a leg kick, you start limping, okay? Let's just put it like this. And I think that when Lorenz comes in the pocket and starts going for, his blitz, his explosive combos, which he's so fast. And he could catch Douglas, He's got the capability to catch anyone. I feel like Douglas is an expert with his counters, and he can land the hardest shot to put Lorenz Larkin away, similar to how Costa Philippou or Brad Tavares, Brad Tavares didn't knock him out, but I'm just saying the game plan, and people can make the excuse like, oh, the guys he fought at 85 wanted to take him down. Okay, Derek Brunson wanted to take him down. Yeah, that's true, but the other guys outstruck with him, you know what I'm saying with him, man? And we can talk about how, oh, he beat Santiago, but Santiago and Douglas fight nothing alike. Yeah. Not at all. Like, Santiago is known for his laser beams. Douglas is known for picking his shots, those heavy leg kicks. If you take Douglas down, that butterfly sweep gets right back up. And the only guys that beat Douglas are guys that take him down and grind him. Lorenz is not about to take him down and grind him. I think that this is actually a bad matchup for Lorenz Larkin, and I'm highly considering a 2-unit bet on Douglas Lima at plus 160 here. So, we'll see what happens, but I think I'm going to take that shot. And, Douglas Lima plus 160. I like it.
Yeah, man. I feel like it's a good opportunity for Douglas to move to that next level, man, and become a household name.
Indeed, it is. So the main event of the evening, we've been waiting for this fight for a long time. I wish I hope that they are juiced to the gills. We got Chael Sonnen, he's minus 145. The comeback on Wanderlei Silva is plus 125. Now, we have not seen Wanderlei in a very long time. And you saw those pictures, man. He's looking very out of shape, man. And not only that, both of them had been out for a while, but at least Chael got to come back. Even though he got embarrassed, at least he got to come back, get that rust, under his belt. And now with Wanderlei, he took him down once with that blast double on Tough. I know he can take him down on the feet. I'm not saying that Chael can't hold his own, man. We saw him drop Anderson Silva. This, granted, he was juiced out of his mind. Both guys were juiced out of their minds back in the day, but at this point, man, I feel like Wanderlei is going to gas very quick. That layoff is no joke. It's one thing to take a 1-year layoff. Even like Vince Pichel take a 3-year layoff. But to take a 5-year layoff or whatever it's been, I don't know if he's going to come back the same. I mean, obviously not going to come back the same. I'm just saying, I don't think he can beat Chael here. I think Chael's going to grind him out in this one. Now, Chael has the affinity to find a way to lose, so he could get caught in some kind of choke. But I don't feel like Wanderlei catches people in chokes very often. And unless he's been training something, has a trick up his sleeve, I see Chael getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, both guys are obviously done, but like you said, man, Chael has the tendency to find a way to lose, and, I think he'll be winning this fight for the most part, getting easy takedowns, but at some point, they'll be back on the feet, and, I think Wandy's going to KO him, even though coming off the 5-year layoff, I mean, neither guy should be fighting, so it's a 50-50 fight in my opinion, but I think Wandy's going to catch him at some point with either knees shooting, Chael shooting in, or, by maybe he might even pull out a submission. I mean, we've seen Chael get tapped several times, so I'm going to go with Wandy.
So before we get out of here, the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So, Shaq, what's the fight to watch for Bellator NYC?
I'm going to go with Chandler and Primus, man. I want to see if Primus can, survive the storm, because I'm really interested to see when Chandler gasses out what Primus can do in that 3rd, 4th, and 5th round.
Definitely, man. Because this kid Primus is no joke. He's not just going to fall down, you know what I mean? Yeah. You have to knock this kid out to beat him. So I'm very curious to see if you can drag Michael Chandler to deep water. And obviously, watching Mike Chandler in that first round, it's a treat. He's such an explosive, dynamic athlete. My fight to watch is Douglas Lima versus Lorenz Larkin. Look, this could easily be a UFC co-main event, man. You know what I'm saying? There's 2 of the top welterweights on planet Earth. We got to see how Lorenz Larkin handles that Bellator debut, and he's taking on a very stiff test. He's taking on the top of the mountain in Bellator, and Douglas Lima, who, he's been paying his dues for years. I mean, you remember that fight he had with Matt Brown in someone's basement back in the day? You know what I mean? It's on YouTube. Check it out. So that's my fight to watch. So, Shaq, who is your fighter to watch for Bellator NYC?
Man, my fighter to watch is Douglas Lima, man. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. And like I said earlier, this is his opportunity to become a household name and, become the greatest welterweight in Bellator history.
Indeed it is, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. And my fighter to watch is the great, the GOAT, Fedor Emelianenko. I mean, look, anytime you get the chance to watch, even though some of the times it's been sad, lately, it's still, you remember where you were when you watched Fedor fight. He's one of those fighters, and even though a lot of people are counting him out here, every time he fights, it's a special occasion. It's monumental, and if he goes out there, lands one of his signature overhand rights, one of his blitzes, and puts Matt Mitrione away, it would really put a smile to my face, and he's my fighter to watch, man.
Yeah, man. Fedor is the legend, arguably the GOAT, and like you said, it's an occasion when he fights you have to watch.
Indeed, it is. Well, Shaq, we did it this weekend. 2 nights, 2 fight cards. It's going down. We got to cash these bets. They got to follow you at MMA Genius 05. They got to follow me at Best Fight Picks. Go to bestfightpicks.com for the plays. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Hook up the 5-star reviews. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.
Yeah, man, let's cash them.